Good morning, good morning, good morning. I guess I should say good afternoon. Oh my, where does the time go? All right, today I want to talk about the we versus the me, the collective versus the I, and being selfish versus self-full. We are in a collective period in astrology where there are a ton of retrogrades right now, and we're in eclipse season, and this basically means we are being called to slow down, and we are being called to listen, and we are being called to understand. And this is very much playing out on the world stage as we see a huge civil rights movement and a global pandemic. What better time to break down some paradigms that aren't serving us and really call to understand what healthy action and movement forward truly means. So, come with me, friends. Do you feel trapped in a cycle or pattern in your job, relationship, lifestyle? Are you tired of feeling sluggish, overwhelmed, exhausted, anxious, or powerless to the circumstances in your life? Are you finally ready to take back your power, transform your life in your deepest, darkest moments, and truly, truly start living the life of your dreams? Hey y'all, it's your girl B here with Back to Your Roots podcast, and this is another episode. All right, so the collective and the I. So a couple years ago, there was a movement that came about, and it was like the Me Too We movement, or We to Me, something along those lines. And essentially, it was calling us up and out of our very four walls, self-seeking nature, and calling us to band together to basically create a bigger impact on the world. And this is very needed. But I think there's a few things that we kind of need to understand with this, because if we don't have the understanding and we're not listening and our cup isn't full, then our action doesn't create sustainability, and it's not coming from a higher place of understanding or wisdom. And in health, they say like we need to, in health, to create perfect health, we need to create homeostasis. So, which basically means the harmony or bringing about balance within the greater system. And that's what we also need to do in creating a health in our society, or a health or a homeostasis of our society, and the universal sustainable change that we all want to see moving forward. So in order to do that, I feel like we really need to break down some of these concepts and really create more understanding around them. So more or less, like in the dawn of existence, we were in a very homeostasis, or a very balanced, harmonious state. And then it was the fall of certain ancient civilizations that pushed us towards a very patriotic system. Now, what does that mean? A patriotic system is where we're focused more on the masculine energy, so the male dominant energy, which we've seen this as like the rise and fall of many ancient civilizations, or when civilizations were to be conquered, and we wanted to dominate things. Now, this didn't just happen with, say, the French or the Brits. This was seen across the board and in amongst many indigenous tribes. We all had this because we all acquired this lack. We felt like we needed to dominate, or we needed to take over, because if another tribe had abundance, we might not have abundance. And it was around premises of like greed, which comes from the masculine energy when it's in excess. And this is where we've been for thousands of years now in a very patriotic society. So when we still are in a patriotic society and we want to create change, our reaction is we need to band together, we need to collectively do that. And that's not wrong. That thinking, that mentality, that's very accurate. That is what we need to do. But if we don't nurture the self in and amongst that, or we don't sit and listen and understand and pause before we create the action comes from a reaction versus a response. And that's very much what we've been doing. We see a situation as good versus bad, and we react to it, and we create new laws and we create change. But what we really need to ask ourselves is this system serving us? Is this system creating the sustainable change that we want to see in the world? Has this system been serving us? And I think you will come to the conclusion that it's probably not, because hundreds of years later, we're still seeing the same issue. And if that's the case, what is a newer way of being? How do we maintain the collective and the I? So over the past couple of years, we have been seeing a new energy coming forth, or a new wave being called. And if you're in the spiritual community, you're probably aware of this. And this is the divine feminine. This is the nurturing energy or aspect being called forward to create sustainable change. And what does that mean? So the matriarchic system is where we have this more going with the flow, this more softer, nurturing side of things coming forward. And we have seen this in a lot of movements moving forward. We see this in like the Me Too movement or the feminist movements. We're seeing a voice that wants to be heard for all. But we're still seeing it in a very patriotic system where it comes at the cost of my voice is heard, but is your voice heard? Or this is the right way and your way is the wrong way. Or it's still in a scale of domination, and it's because we have not truly nurtured this self enough. And what does that mean? So I do see a lot of female clients, and it's generally because they tend to be a little bit more proactive or more in tune, and that's okay. But the one thing I do see in majority of my female clients is their adrenals are just shot. Like, I think our adrenal health is probably an epidemic or a pandemic on its own, but that's a topic for another day. And this happens because we're nurturing in a very patriotic way. So the woman, they want to go out, they want to nurture, we want to help, so we want to sustain our husbands and our partners, and our families and our friends and our colleagues and our community, and we want to help. We don't want to see people suffering. So we're constantly overdoing. We're overgiving. And what you see is resentment, you see anger, you see almost like a form of repression, suppression, oppression, like not feeling like they can be heard, or not feeling like they voice their opinion, or when it doesn't change. And you see burnout in a lot of cases. And that's because, again, we're seeing this imbalance within the energies in a greater spectrum. We're overdoing, we're over creating, and it's coming from a heartfelt place, but it's in an overzealous way. And what we really need to do is create balance between the collective and the I. And that means being selfful. So a couple years ago, we had this movement about the we, of banding together and being less selfish. But the thing is we still haven't moved out of that. If anything, we're still very selfish. We're very self-absorbed. We're very in our own lives, but putting up the front that we're about a we. And we're cheering our colleagues on, or our, co-captains, or the people in our community. But it's still coming from a very selfish standpoint. What can I get? Who's going to cheer me on? Or whatever sort of way it's manifesting in people's lives. And what I say to my clients is you need to understand that you need to be selfful and not selfish. And what does that mean? That means taking time for you, saying no to certain obligations. It means self-care. It means looking after you. It means filling your cup up, so then you can go out in the world and fill other people's cups. You can't. The problem is we've been wanting to fill other people's cups. We've been wanting to create change, but it's coming at the cost of our cup is so empty. We're not seeing the situations for what they really are. So we're not acting in a way that's going to create sustainable change because we've not paused. We've just kept going. And we've just, our gears are constantly turning over, but they're rusty. We haven't looked after them. The car's running on empty, right? We need an oil change. So what I say to them is you need to create self-full activities and priorities in your day. You need to be self-full. It's not about being selfish. It's not saying this is my time, you can't have it, or this is my beliefs, I'm right, you're wrong. It's about cultivating a new paradigm where you can say yes and no, where you feel empowered to say yes and no to certain things, where you feel empowered to take care of yourself, where you feel empowered to, have a quiet night in and a bath, light some candles, fill your own cup up, empower yourself, tell yourself that you love you, to the point where you don't need others to do that for you, because that's what we've been looking for. That's what we've been seeking. It's all external to us. Get so good at loving yourself that you increase your vibration to the vibration of love, so that you can then go out and fill everyone else's cup. This paradigm is homeostasis. It's about creating the balance. It's not about the collective versus the I. It's not about, if we want to change the world, we solely need to focus on the I. That is true, but it's the balance of both. It's neither good nor bad. It's understanding that we, as individual people, have certain needs and belief systems and paradigms and ancestral trauma and past life trauma that was not healed, that has led us to this point in the world. And individually, we are dreaming our own dream. But collectively right now, we are dreaming this bigger dream, and all of this stuff is coming up to the surface in the forefront because it's not serving us anymore. But it's coming up because we've never once dealt with it. For hundreds of thousands of years, we've been carrying the trauma from our ancestors, or our past lives if you want to ascribe to past lives. It's cool if you don't. or ourselves, even in this life. We got so good at not dealing with the trauma and the stuff and talking about it. And finally, the universe is like, enough. We're going to deal with it. It's all coming to a head, which is what we're seeing on the global scale, is everything's coming to a head. And there's a lot of people that are saying, okay, we need to heal as a self. There's a lot of people saying that, okay, we need to create action, we need to get moving, we need to do things. But if you look at the astrology, we've got like 5 planets in retrograde and a series of eclipses happening. And if you don't believe in astrology, that's cool. I respect that. I respect your opinion. But I do. And to me, that's saying, whoa, we need to slow down. We need to listen. We need to understand. We need to ask ourselves, is it time now to create action? And if it is that action going to be sustainable? Or do we need to just pause, not because we don't want to talk about the issues, not because we don't want to see change, but because we need to start listening. We need to listen to ourselves. We need to listen to our bodies. We need to listen to our trauma. We need to listen to our emotions. We need to listen to the belief systems. We need to listen to our community, our brothers and sisters that are hurting all over the globe. We need to cultivate change, but it's my belief that we need to do it in a harmonious relationship with the collective and the I. And what does that mean? It means that we need our self-time. We need our self-care. We need to be going inward and doing the healing. And then we need to go and be able to fill other people's cup and listen to them and understand their trauma and support them and create action. And when that happens, when we're collectively moving towards something in a very balanced divine feminine energy and masculine nature, it's then where we're going to be able to create sustainable global change, where our entire tribe benefits from it. Entire tribe meaning the entire world, right? Because what's happening now is we're getting so caught up in all of the singulars. Even yesterday or today I was scrolling and it was talking about this someone was talking about this very dynamic of how, we don't need to heal, we need to talk about the issue. And I was like, I respect that. Like, I respect that individual's opinion. But the thing is if you're holding on to, racial belief systems from your ancestral lineage, and you haven't cleared them, or you don't love yourself, and you discriminate and judge yourself on a daily basis, how can you possibly go out and love the world? Or love the person that cut you off on the the interstate or the 401, right? Like, we're in a very interesting time where there's going to be a lot of change, and we're cultivating a new way of being. But that being can be cultivated and nurtured the most when we are coming from a nurtured state. When we are coming from I'm going to look at my wounds, I'm going to work to heal myself, I'm going to work to fill my cup up, so then I can go up and fill all of these humans' cups up every single day. Or when we take the time to sit and listen and integrate and be mindful and work to understand, then we can also listen to some higher guidance or higher advice. And our action is not quick. It's not going to be impulsive. We're going to say, okay, I hear everything. I see everything. Because right now is we don't see the truth of everything. We don't. We're only seeing snapshots of the truth and the reality. So we really do need to sit and we need to listen. But we also need to work on the self, the I, in a self-full way. Not to cut anyone off per se, but to say, hey, today I need a rest, I need to heal, I need to fill my cup up so I can continue moving forward for the greater vision, for the greater good, for the greater health of the tribe, the collective. So it's all within a state of balance. We hear all of the quotes like, if you want to change the world, it starts with the I. And it's true, because you can't change the world if your cup isn't full. You can't change the world if you're still holding on to belief systems that you might not even been aware that you're holding on to. But it comes from ancestral lineage. It's going to tip the scale. So the more we fill our cup up, the more we love ourselves, the more we're going to view the world in the lens of love, compassion, understanding, listening. And the more we create change from that place and not a place of hurt, the more we say, hey, let's create community. It's no longer about the lack or the competition. I see we're working towards a common goal. Let's band together and create a community so we can refer to each other or create more change, or our voices can be amplified and heard because we're in a community. But the community also comes from the I. And that is an important thing. This is not a we versus me. This is not a you versus an I. This is a collective and the I. Creating self-full, self-nurturing individuals who are then collectively dreaming a bigger dream for tomorrow. That's what I got for you today, friends. Hopefully that message sits well with you. And if it doesn't, it's all good. Maybe it'll just get you thinking. I send you all so much love and so much light, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.